okay, except for certain special design features. Okay, it has some certain special design features. If you neglect those features, its operation will be similar to your two-phase induction motor. Okay, so the rotor of the servo motor is built with high resistance so that its X by R ratio, inductive reactance by resistance ratio, is small. Because this ratio, inductive reactance by resistance ratio, is small, linear speed torque characteristics can be obtained. Okay, so you can see in this graph, if you see in this graph, okay, this is the speed torque characteristics. So okay, so if you observe, since the R value is high, resistance is high, definitely the X by R ratio will, the magnitude of X by R ratio will be low. Okay, so if you observe, this is what happens. Okay,
Okay, power has come. So I'm present. Anybody unmute yourself because I'm out of the screen. Unmute and inform. Mama. Are you able to see?
Visible.
Visible? Okay then. Okay. So this is our these speed torque characteristics. Okay. So in servo motor, okay, in servo motor, wait, in servo motor, R value will be high. Again, power has gone. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm using my mobile. Okay, R is high. So definitely X by R value will be low. Okay, it will be a low value. Low. Okay, definitely X by R value will be low. Okay, so whenever X by R value is low, the speed torque characteristics will be linear. Okay, so if you consider a normal induction motor, since X is larger than R value, okay, in normal induction motor, X is larger than R value, therefore it will not have a linear characteristics. Okay, speed torque characteristics will not be linear. So this is the advantage of your AC servo motor. Okay, in AC servo motor, R is high, that's why you will get linear characteristics. Okay, of speed torque. Okay, again power has come. Okay, it's okay. Let us see the construction. Okay, let us see the construction of AC servo motor. AC servo motor will have, similar to your induction motor, it will have a stator and a rotor. Okay, it will have a stator and a rotor. Okay, so if in the stator will have two pairs of poles. Okay, AB is one pair and CD is another pair. Okay, stator will have two pairs of poles. Their axis will the axis of both the poles will be 90-degree. Axes will have 90-degree displacement. Okay, this is the axis of this pair of poles. This is the axis of the another pair of CD pair. Okay, CD pair of poles. Okay, they will have an angular displacement of 90-degree. Okay, the phasor currents in both the pairs, okay, current I1 and I2, okay, phasor currents will also have a phase displacement of 90-degree. Okay, so these poles, this each pair of poles will be wounded with winding. Okay, so the winding which is wounded to one pair of pole, you can call it as control winding. Another winding which is wounded to another pair of pole, you can call it as reference winding. So in the stator, two windings will be there. One is the stator reference winding, other one is the control winding. Okay, and in both the currents, the phasor currents will have a phase displacement of 90-degree. Okay, you can see this graph here. In this graph, if you observe, in this graph, if you observe, okay, current I1 current and I2 current. See, I1 current is starting, is already maximum at 0. Okay, whereas I2 is 0, I2 current is 0 at 0, at instant 0. Okay, at instant 0, I2 current is 0. This is maximum, means both has a phase displacement of 90-degree. When this is 90, this is 0. Okay, The current, this current is 0 and this current is 90. So both the currents have phase displacement of 90 degrees. So the phase displacement between these two currents can be obtained by phase shifting capacitor connected to any one of the windings. Here two windings are there. Okay, this is one winding. Okay, this is one winding. Okay, this is another winding. Okay, two windings are there. So by connecting a phase shifting capacitor to any one of the winding, phase displacement between these two currents can be obtained. So what is the phase displacement between these two phasor currents? Phase displacement is 90-degree phase displacement. Okay. So let me see, did I miss anything? Okay, one winding is reference, another is control winding, phase displacement of 90. Okay. Okay. Next is the rotor. Okay, so rotor is nothing but a squirrel cage rotor. You know what is meant by squirrel cage rotor. In your machine subject you might have already learned, okay, about the squirrel cage rotor. So squirrel cage, in the squirrel cage rotor will have slots in the inner periphery. Okay, this rotor will have slots in the inner periphery. In those slots copper rods are placed. Okay, or you can call it as rotor rods, rotor bars. Here they have mentioned bars. Okay, rods or bars are placed, okay, in those slots, and they are encircled or they are ended by the end rings. Okay, they are short circuited by the end rings. Okay, they are short circuited by the end rings on both, at both ends. Okay, so this is a rotor. Okay, this is a rotor. In the inner periphery, conductors are placed in the inner peripheries. Inner slots will be there in the inner periphery. Okay, conductors are placed, rods. Okay, or rotor bars we can say, not winding. It's a single rod like conductor. Okay, rod like conductor like this. Okay, wait. So see. So I'm drawing with my free hand. This is a rod. This is a rod. Rod like conductors are placed in the slots. Okay. So it's already. Conductors are placed in the slots. Okay. And they are short circuited by the end rings. Okay. So this, you know what is meant by squirrel cage rotor. Okay. So you already know. I need not explain. I need not go in detail into that. Okay, and one thing is made sure that the diameter is kept as low as possible. Okay, smaller diameter will be there. Okay, in order to reduce the inertia. Okay, smaller diameter is in order to reduce the inertia, in order to obtain good accelerating characteristics. Okay, this squirrel cage rotor of your AC servo motor will have small diameter, okay, in order to reduce the inertia and to obtain good accelerating characteristics. Okay, so whenever I want low inertia in any of the applications, I will use AC servo motor. Okay, in whichever application I want low inertia, I will go for AC servo motor. So usually it will be a hollow cylindrical rotor. Okay, so let us see the working. Okay, let us see the working of this AC servo motor in control system. Okay, so actually power has reconnected, and I am about to open the folder of this PPT in my desktop. Okay, so working I will explain in my desktop. Wait 1 minute, just few seconds. Okay, so still meanwhile you just observe that symbolic representation of AC servo motor in control systems. You just observe the diagram. Okay. Not responding. Is it responding? Okay, I'll present the screen in my desktop. I'm going to stop presenting. No. Okay, now I am able to present. I will close this video and all. Okay. So where is my presentation? This is my presentation. Okay. So you can see the working of AC servo motor in control systems. Okay. So here you can see this control winding, which I have already shown you in the construction. If you see the stator, okay, stator has two windings here. Okay, it has two windings here. One winding is connected to one pair of pole, another winding is connected to another pair of poles. Okay, so you can see this. Okay, so the winding which is connected to one pair of poles, it is called control winding. The winding which is connected to another pair of poles is called reference winding. Okay, so let us see this working symbolic representation. So one winding is control winding, another winding is the reference winding. Okay. Now here two windings are there. Now if you see this symbolic representation, and a constant AC voltage source, AC supply is given to the reference winding here, and control voltage is given to the control winding through an amplifier and a modulator. Okay, control voltage is given to the control winding through an amplifier and a modulator, and AC supply is given with some frequency, it is given to the reference winding. Okay, if you observe here, there is a phase shifting capacitor. Okay, if you observe, I'm expanding the screen. Okay, nothing is visible, isn't it? Okay, nothing is visible. I have expanded the screen, but nothing is visible. Oh, now it is visible. Okay, okay, now it is visible. So these are the two windings. One is the reference winding, another one is the control winding, and both the windings, the currents flowing in these windings will have a phase displacement of 90 degrees. This is obtained by a phase shifting capacitor. Okay, an AC supply is given with certain frequency to the reference winding. This AC supply voltage will be constant and its frequency will vary from 50 hertz to 1000 hertz. Okay, and this control voltage will have a low frequency of 0 to 20 hertz. Okay, so the control voltage will have low frequency, and this AC voltage which is given to the reference winding will have high frequency. Okay, so the frequency range can be increased from 50 to 1000. Okay, so now what will happen if I increase the frequency? So by using the higher frequencies, the system can be made less susceptible to low frequency noises. So whenever I want to make the system less susceptible to the low frequency noises, I will increase the frequency. Okay, so whenever I want to make it less susceptible to low frequency noises, so for example in aircrafts. Okay, okay, so aircrafts, we need a less susceptibility to the low frequency noises. Okay, so that's why AC motors can be used in your aircrafts and missile control systems. Okay, now just now I have told you that this control voltage will have low frequency. Okay, so actually in order to produce the rotating magnetic field, okay, whatever currents that are flowing in both the windings, okay, phasor currents, they should have same frequency. Okay, okay, if they have same frequency, then only rotating magnetic field is produced. And for the further operation, okay, since you already know the operation of an induction motor, single phase induction motor, okay, how the rotating magnetic field is produced and how the rotor rotates, that you already know. Okay, so our main aim is to make both the frequencies same. Whatever frequency is the reference winding, okay, it can be in between 50 hertz to 1000 hertz. Okay, so whatever may be the frequency, okay, the control and the current in the control winding should also have the same frequency. Okay, but whatever control voltage that we give, it will have very low frequency. So we need a carrier, okay, which is connected in this modulator. Okay, there will be a carrier which is in this modulator, which will that carrier will amplify the given control voltage. Okay, and it will increase the frequency to the value at which the reference winding frequency is there. Okay, so it will increase the frequency to the frequency of your reference winding. Okay, in order to make the current flowing in the control winding frequency same as the current flowing in the reference winding, a carrier is used. This carrier that is used in the modulator is nothing but our AC supply. Okay, so the AC supply itself will act as the carrier here. Okay, it will increase the frequency to that of your reference winding frequency. So when both the frequencies of the control winding and the reference winding are same, rotating magnetic field is induced. No further operation because of the interaction of the rotating, the resultant, because of the interaction of the rotating magnetic field, what will happen? Rotor will rotate. Okay, as the rotor rotates, the load that is connected to the rotor, it will also rotate. This is the operation of your AC servo motor. Okay. So each and every line is very clear. Okay. So if you see, the control winding is excited by the modulated control signal. Control winding is excited by modulated control signal, and this is the voltage of the variable magnitude and polarity. Okay. So whatever I have explained, it is there here in this slide. You can go through it. Okay. So in order to have a phase displacement, there will be a phase shifting capacitor. Okay. Now, what is EC? EC is the control signal or the control voltage, we can say. Control signal voltage. EC is the control signal voltage. Okay. EC is the control signal voltage. ECAR is the carrier signal. Carrier signal, what is carrier signal? That carrier signal is given to the carrier signal is given in the amplifier and the modulator. In this, where is my cursor? Okay, in this amplifier and modulator, carrier signal is provided. Carrier signal is nothing but our AC supply. Okay, somewhere it is there in these slides. I have to search for that. I have to search somewhere. Carrier signal is mentioned here. I don't know which slide. It is there. See, control signal is modulated. See here, you can go through this. Control signal is modulated by the carrier whose frequency is same as that of your reference voltage. Okay. So, and then applied to the control winding for production of the rotating magnetic field. Okay. So, ECAR is nothing but the, where is it? Carrier whose frequency is same as the reference voltage. AC supply itself, yeah, here you can see. AC supply itself is used as the carrier signal. AC supply itself is used as the carrier signal. So AC supply voltage, ECAR, is nothing but E cos omega CT. Okay, that is given in the modulator. Okay, so ECM is the modulated control signal. Okay, so ECM, because of this, so when carrier signal is given to this control signal, ECM is produced, isn't it? The output of the modulator is ECM. See, I can draw something here for your, so here I can write as E, C, A, carrier signal, carrier voltage of same frequency of the reference winding. Okay, ECAR and EC are given. This is given to this. This is also given. So what will be the output voltage that is given, or the input voltage that is given to your control winding? That is ECM. Okay, modulated control signal. This is the ECM. Okay, modulated control signal. So I hope I'm not rushing. Okay, so I'm explaining these concepts a bit slowly. Okay, modulated control signal is given as input to your control winding. Okay, so let us see the waveform of this control signal, carrier signal, and modulated control signal. This is the waveform. Okay, this is the control voltage, control signal voltage, EC, that is given to your control winding. Okay, this is the carrier signal voltage. Okay, it's a pure sine wave, isn't it? It's a pure sine wave. Okay, so when these two are these two combine in the modulator, we can say. Okay, so at the instant here, at this instant, this control signal is becoming zero at this particular instant, and this is maximum at this particular instant. What happens is at that instant, phase reversal of the carrier signal waveform will occur. So here phase is not reversing. If you observe, phase reversal is not there. Phase is reversing at this particular instant. Phase is reversing for this carrier signal. But when you collaborate this carrier signal with your control signal, at this particular instant, what is happening? Phase reversal of the carrier waveform occurs. Again, at this particular instant, when control signal becomes zero, okay, at that particular instant, even though carrier signal is maximum here, phase reversal of this modulated control signal occurs. So this is the input that is given to the control winding, whose frequency will be similar to your frequency of your carrier signal, or you can say the carrier signal frequency is same as your reference winding signal. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so from this figure we can observe that envelope of the modulated wave is identical to the control signal. Okay, so I'll just check the time. Okay, still 15 minutes are there. So polarity of EC, this is the control signal, dictates the phase of ECM with respect to that of your carrier. So ECM is what? It is the modulated carrier signal. Okay. Okay, if EC is positive, control signal is positive, then the modulator control signal and carrier voltage and the modulator control signal voltage will have the same phase, otherwise 180-degree phase display difference. Okay, they will have either same phase or 180-degree phase difference. So ECM is given by E plus EC cos omega CT. Okay, so what is it? EC is the control voltage, E cos omega CT is the carrier signal voltage. Okay, at EC greater than 0. If EC is less than 0, then they will have a phase displacement of omega CT plus pi. Okay, phase displacement of pi. They will have a phase displacement of 180-degree. Pi means 180-degree. Okay, this is ECM. Okay, so reversal of this EC occurs. Okay, this I have already explained. Okay. So let us see the speed torque curves of the typical AC servo motor plotted for fixed reference phase voltage and different values of constant input voltages. Okay, input voltage is constant. Okay, fixed different values of constant input voltages we are considering, and fixed reference phase voltage we are taking. Okay, so if you observe the torque and speed characteristic at instant 0. At instant 0, EC, the control voltage will be 0. At instant 0, the control voltage goes through the origin, okay, and its magnitude is 0. Okay, so at this instant, when at 0 instant, when EC is 0, the torque and the speed, the torque of the motor will decelerate. Okay, torque of the motor will decelerate. Okay, and the motor will stop. Okay, the motor will stop. Okay, so if you want, you can see that. Okay, when the control phase voltage becomes 0, the motor develops decelerating torque, and so the motor will stop. And if you observe for EC, as the EC value increases, EC, this is the input that is given to the control winding, isn't it? As the EC value gradually increases, okay, at lower speeds, the torque and speed have a linear characteristics. Okay, at lower speed, the torque and speed have a linear characteristics, whereas as the speed increases, the characteristics between the torque and speed are not linear. Okay, as the speed increases, okay, for different constant values of EC, okay, so here input voltage is also increasing and speed is also increasing. Okay, as the speed increases, the characteristics between the torque and speed are not linear, but for analysis purpose, let us assume the speed torque characteristics are linear, and if you observe, all the curves have negative slope. Okay, okay, all the curves have negative slope. So if you observe, you can see here, speed torque curves of AC servo motor are non-linear except in the low speed region. Okay, except in the low speed region, the speed torque curves are non-linear. Okay, so in order to derive the transfer function, we want to derive the transfer function of AC servo motor. We will assume that all these characteristics are linear. Okay, so servo motor seldom operates at high speeds. Therefore, linear operation of speed torque characteristics can be extended out to a higher speed region as by the use of dashed line that I have already explained you. Okay, but still, the resultant curves will not be parallel to each other. This means that constant speeds except near zero speed, the torque does not vary linearly with respect to the input voltage. So that can be explained here. Okay, this is the phase voltage. Phase voltage, control phase voltage is what? Control phase voltage is nothing but E C. Okay, so EC with respect to torque, if I want to plot for varying speeds. So when speed is zero, okay, when speed is approximately zero, okay, speed and control voltage will have linear characteristics. Okay, so it has a linear characteristics, but all these lines, as the speed gradually increases, the linear characteristics between these curves is not obtained. Okay, so they are becoming non-linear as the speed gradually increases, and these are not even parallel to each other. Okay, so let us see the transfer function of AC servo motor. Okay, let us see the transfer function of AC servo motor. T is the torque developed by the servo motor, theta is the angular displacement of the rotor, omega is the angular velocity. Okay, or we can say speed. A torque developed by the load is TL. J is the moment of inertia of load and the rotor. B is the viscous friction coefficient of the load and rotor. K1 is the slope of the control phase voltage versus torque characteristics. And K2 is the slope of speed torque characteristics. Okay, here we are assuming all the speeds are near zero. Okay, when the speed is near zero, the characteristics will be linear. All the curves are straight lines parallel to the characteristics at the rated input voltage and are equally spaced for equal increment of the input voltage. So we are just for determining the transfer function, we are assuming that all the lines are the straight lines parallel to each other in the characteristic curve. Okay, so the torque developed by the motor can be given by this equation. Okay, so in terms of the control voltage and in terms of the angular velocity or angular speed. Okay, so torque is proportional to the control voltage and it is also proportional to the angular speed, where K1, K2 are the slopes. Okay, so now torque in the load, you can easily write down this equation on your own. Okay, so where is it? So this is my figure. So if I'm asked to write down the torque equation for this load, torque TL is equal to what? J into d square. What is the angular displacement here? Theta by d t square plus b into d theta by d theta by, this is the torque equation which you already know, dt, d theta by dt. Okay, so this you can write it down on your own. Okay. So that is the equation here, torque across the load. Okay, so now at equilibrium, both the torque developed in the motor and the torque developed in the load will be equal at equilibrium. So torque developed by the load and torque developed by the motor are equal. Now take the Laplace transformation of these two. Okay, so by taking the Laplace transformation, it will be j s square theta s plus v into s theta s equal to k1 ec of s k2 s into theta s. Okay, so bring all the thetas to one side. Okay, take common theta s. Okay, take common theta s and equate it to the whatever is left over. Okay, only left over is k1 ecs. Okay, so theta s is the angular displacement, theta s by ECS, you will get this equation. So theta is the angular displacement, theta s, and the EC is the control voltage. So what is EC? EC is nothing but the input. This is my input. Control voltage is the input. Okay, and theta is the angular displacement. This is my output. So angular displacement is the output. Okay, so theta is the angular displacement, EC is the input. So output by input is nothing but our in Laplace transformation. Okay, output by input in Laplace transformation is nothing but our transfer function. Okay, so theta s by EC of s is given by this equation, k1 by this denominator. Here he has taken s common. Okay, after taking s common, so bring out b plus k2. Okay, if you bring out b plus k2, you will get j by b plus k2 plus 1 into s. This you will get. Bring out b plus k2, send it to the numerator. Okay, assume k1 by b plus k2 as some km, that is motor gain constant. Let us, we are just replacing it by some constant values. And j by b plus k2, you assume it as motor time constant. Okay, so this is the transfer function of our AC servo motor. Okay, so anybody, if you have any doubt, if you want me to explain any concept which is not understood by you, you just tell me. Okay, uh, we will discuss one more topic, is there synchros, in the next class, and I will conclude this unit in the next class. I will forward this servo motor slides to you today itself to your mail. Anybody? I didn't take the snapshot, so I will take the snapshot. Okay, I will take the snapshot. Okay, anybody, if you have doubts, you just ask me. If you don't have doubts, you just give me the attendance, answer your roll call. Today I'll forward the slides, you go through it. If you have any doubts, you can WhatsApp me. Okay, till now, what are topics that we have completed, you can WhatsApp me. Recording, Just recorded. Okay, if you have doubts, you can ask me. Answer your roll call. C1.